Hello, and welcome to another second grade episode of Math Matters. My name is Mrs. Cook, and today we are going to review and practice what we've been learning this week about pictographs and bar graphs. Let's begin our review of bar graphs and pictographs by doing this routine called Same but Different. Take a moment to look at the two different graphs shown here. What is the same about them, and what is different? We'll pause here to give you some time to think about it. Let's come back together and talk about what you might have discovered. You might have started by reading the labels on both of the graphs. The titles, favorite sports, are the same on both graphs. The categories or groups at the bottom are also the same. Both have groups labeled with different sports, as you can see in the pictures, and by reading the label titled Sports. They both also count the number of students as labeled on the left side in the graph. You may have even noticed that the data shown in the height of the bars is similar to the height of the pictures in the pictograph. But maybe you also noticed the way the data is shown in the bars on the graph on the left are different than the way they are shown in the pictures on the right. And did you see that the bar graph includes numbers to help you count the data? How is this different than the pictograph? That's right. In the pictograph, you have to count the pictures to find the total for each group. Some of you might have wondered if the data or numbers are the same for each graph. For example, the bar and basketball pictures look about the same. But do they represent the same number? If you said no, you are correct. There are 6 students represented in the bar graph, but in the pictograph, there are only 3 basketballs. How could we use a key in the pictograph to make the numbers in the data match? If we add a key telling us to count each picture by 2, then we could count the pictures in the pictograph differently. Instead of 1, 2, 3, for example, we could count the basketballs 2, 4, 6, giving us the same total as those in the bar graph. Great detective work! In today's lesson, we're going to focus our learning on how to read and analyze data displayed in pictographs and bar graphs. At the end of the lesson, you will be given an activity to help you continue to work on graphing at home. As you follow along today, think about how you are able to count the quantity or number of data presented in pictographs and bar graphs, write statements that compare and describe the data in pictographs and bar graphs, and create graphs to represent data. We will have an opportunity for you to reflect on your learning at the end of the lesson. As you practice what you are learning about graphs, we invite you to continue to work on sharing your ideas through writing. We also encourage you to take risks today as you try out your new skills, and remember to make note of any questions or struggles you might have as we go along so you can ask for help from your teacher or family member at another time. Most importantly, don't give up and keep on trying. Here are the materials you may want to have on hand today as you work on communicating your thinking and writing. You will want to have something to write with. A pencil or crayons would work well, and some paper. Plain paper is fine, or if you have lined or graph paper, you may find that helpful for making graphs. We will pause now to give you time to gather your materials. As you follow along with our lesson, you will want to keep in mind the new vocabulary we've been using to communicate our thinking about graphs. Pictograph, bar graph, row, column, and key. Let's begin our review with this pictograph. What do you notice? What do you wonder? I notice there appear to be snacks or junk food listed in each row. Chips, popcorn, and donuts. I also notice there are 6 pictures or bags of chips shown, and there is no key telling us to count the pictures by a number different than 1. I wonder how much popcorn or how many donuts there are. I'm also wondering what this graph could be about. Could it be how many of each item was sold at the store? Or could it be how many students brought each snack to school? You may have been noticing or wondering something different. Go ahead and share that with us now. Great ideas. Let's continue to zoom in on this graph and see what we can learn. Here's the title for the pictograph, Favorite Junk Food. What new information does this give you? How does this change your thinking? If you are like me, you may have had a lot of different snacks or even treated yourself to some junk food while you have been learning at home. If each of these pictures represents someone's vote for their favorite junk food, what numbers would you expect to see for popcorn and donuts? Do you think they will be higher or lower than chips? Let's zoom in again and see. Let's take a closer look at the popcorn. What statement could you make about the popcorn compared to the chips as a favorite junk food? If you have your pencil and paper, you can write it down. There are 6 boxes of popcorn and 6 bags of chips. These 2 categories of junk food are equal, so we could say something like, the same number of people chose popcorn as their favorite junk food as the number of people that chose chips as their favorite. Now let's look at the donuts. What statement could you write about the donuts compared to the rest of the data? Maybe you said something like this. 4 people chose donuts as their favorite food. Or 2 fewer people chose donuts as their favorite than popcorn. More people chose popcorn and chips as their favorite than donuts. Now let's take a look at another graph about favorite snacks. How is this one the same but different than the pictograph we were just looking at? You probably noticed right away that this is different because it's a bar graph. It's like the pictograph because it's also about favorite types of food. But this one has some different kinds of snacks listed. You might even say these snack choices are healthier. Did you notice this bar graph looks different than the others we've looked at or seen recently? Usually the bars are going up and down or vertically, but in this bar graph, the bars are going side to side or horizontally. Bar graphs can be made both ways. Take a look at the numbers on the bottom of the bar graph. What do you notice? That's right, the numbers count by 2s. This can make it tricky when we're trying to figure out how many for a bar that lands in between 2 numbers like this one for the fruit. Can you use the numbers at the bottom of the graph to help you figure out how many votes there are for fruit? Did you say 9? That's right. The number that comes in between 8 and 10 is the number 9. A statement will appear next to the graph and I will read it aloud. Your job will be to look at the data in the bar graph and decide if the statement is correct or true, or if the statement is wrong or false. Number 1. 2 more people voted for trail mix than crackers. Is this statement true or false? This statement is true. Trail mix had 4 votes and crackers had 2 votes. 4 is 2 more than 2, so this statement is true. Number 2. 6 people voted for cheese as their favorite. Is this true or false? This statement is false. The bar showing the votes for cheese stops between the 6 and 8. 7 comes in between those numbers, so 7 people voted for cheese as their favorite. Number 3. 2 kinds of crackers are served for snack at school. Is this statement true or false? This statement is false. Crackers are listed on this graph, and the bar goes up to the 2. But this graph is not about how many types of crackers are served. It's about the number of people that voted crackers as their favorite food. We'd like to leave you with a graphing challenge to continue working on after our lesson ends here today. Take a moment to draw the outline of the graph seen here on your paper at home. Remember to add the numbers and the words blue, red, and yellow onto your graph. We'll pause here so you can do that. Here are the directions for the challenge. Design a graph that shows a possible result of 7 students' favorite colors. Remember, there's no one correct answer to this challenge. Think about, what could this graph look like if 7 students in total responded or placed their vote for their favorite color? When you're done, share your graph with someone at home. Can you write some true and false statements for them to solve? Have fun with this challenge and good luck! You've learned a lot over the past few days about pictographs and bar graphs. Reflect on your progress towards our learning goals by selecting which emoji best matches how you're feeling about today's lesson. A smiley emoji if you got it and are feeling good. A thinking emoji if you think you understand but need more practice. And the confused emoji if you feel like you have more questions or could use some help with today's lesson. As you think about the learning goals for today, maybe there's something new you learned that you don't want to forget. Or maybe there's something we talked about today that you still have questions about. Take a minute to record your reflections on the lesson and save them for the next time you're able to check in with your teacher. Remember, mathematicians are skilled communicators who are goal-directed and resilient. During our lesson today, you worked on writing to record and communicate your ideas through graphing. You also persevered or kept on trying as you practiced new mathematical ideas. My name is Mrs. Cook, and I hope you'll join us again tomorrow for another second grade episode of Math Matters. Have a great day.